third crosstown shootout. Has your view of the rivalry changed at all in 3 years? I mean, I'm sure you knew what it was when you got here, but now that you've experienced it a couple times, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, probably like a lot like the players, right? You have an understanding of that it's a big game and it means a lot to the community. It means a lot to both fan bases and both programs. So you understand that because you've heard about it, but once you've experienced it, you have a little deeper understanding of it. So probably a lot like guys that have been in the program for 2, 3, 4 years are going to have a more of an understanding of what it is because they've experienced it, and then guys that are first year players.
How much do you lean on the returning guys to let the younger guys or the new guys, whatever, the transfers or whatever, know kind of what this is about?
Yeah, I think, I think it's a couple things. Like I've always said, I'm not going to be shy about it. We all, as kids and competitors, dream about playing in big games. So, there's no coach speak here. You dream about playing in big games, and this is a big game because it means a lot and two great programs, and there's a history to it, and so that's pretty neat. But how you go about approaching big games is the same stuff you do every day. And I think when you get away from that, you get into a little bit of trouble. So, the approach should be the same. Will there be a little bit extra energy or excitement? It'll be that way for both teams, both fan bases. I mean, that's to be expected. But we just got to be about business as usual. I don't think we have to do anything different or act different or prepare differently. I think the guys know that there'll be some heightened energy around town, and there'll be some national attention, certainly a lot of local attention, and we just got to double down on the things that we do every day in our preparation. So there shouldn't be a lot to talk about. There shouldn't be a lot to prepare for that's any different than a normal game, but it'd be silly not to recognize that there's a lot more energy around this one.
Keegan and Scott?
You're obviously a part of one of the better rivalries in all of college sports. How does this crosstown shootout and all the pomp and circumstance kind of compare to North Carolina and Duke?
Yeah, it's a question I get every year, and I think I actually get this privately a lot. People always want to say, hey, well, how's it compared to the Duke-Carolina game? Trying to compare either one of them is unfair to the other because they're different. But what I will say is the intensity of this game is just so unique. I honestly haven't experienced anything that I can relate to that intensity this time in the year. Early game that every year has a certain level of intensity. I can't relate anything to that. And that's cool, right? And both programs, regardless of the outcome of the game, will be more prepared for what comes next because of that. But comparing it to it's just not fair either way. And I have such great respect for both rivalries in both games.
The main players have changed since last year. What do you see of them? And obviously you're not going to give me your whole scouting report, but
you're right.
They've played some pretty. They've played Houston, they've played Purdue, they've played some tough people, and they're 4-4, I think, going into tonight.
Yeah, I just have a listen, guys. I have a great respect for Sean Miller. I have a great respect. Got to continue to grow, continue to work, and prepare. And I think we got guys that want those types of challenges. But listen, there's a lot of respect. They're a really good basketball team. They've been tested already this year. They have a great coach. So again, all the pomp and circumstance around the game and all the excitement in the community, I love that. I'm not going to sit here and downplay. That's great, but when it comes to what really just happens day to day, it's the same as always, guys. That's the truth. Everybody goes, well, coaches try to spin it. No, I mean the pomp, the circumstance, the excitement, the energy. Heck yeah, we all want that, man. We're competitors, and I'm sure that they feel the same way over at Xavier. Our players will be excited. Their players will be excited, but when it comes to what this is about, it's about going in the gym. It's the same thing I'd say every week going into every game. It's about going in the gym and trying to get better one day at a time, one drill at a time. And then whatever happens when the game is over, do we want to win it? Heck yeah, but should we want to win against Gulf Coast? And when the game's over, we're going to go respond the next day the way we'd respond win or lose. We're going to work hard and get better. and we're going to keep it going. So I'm not trying to downplay that this is awesome. I love that we get to play these big rivalry games. It's one of the reasons you want to come to Cincinnati as a player, as a coach, to be a part of cool stuff like this. But we're not going to make something out of it that it's not either. You know, it's just another basketball game in terms of preparation, in terms of how we're going to prepare for it.
Coach, looking back at the Howard game, how important was it for your team to face some adversity prior to going into a hostile environment on Saturday?
I mean, I just think anything you experience early in the year, or anything you experience any time in the year, you got to figure out how you can learn from it, how you can grow from it. So everything we've done, I'm not being coy with you guys, just everything we've done this year is a chance to learn and grow, and Howard was the same, you know. And that's the first time we've been on the road, so it's a chance for us to try to figure out who we are when we're not here at home in Fifth Third.
Desmond Claude is kind of they're really their only guy returning from a year ago. I don't know how much tape you've gotten into yet, but what do you see in his game that's grown, that's maybe improved, and they're obviously leaning on him a lot more this year?
He's a terrific player, old, experienced. You know, he shoots the heck out of it, and then he can do a lot more than just shoot the basketball.
You spent some time recruiting a couple guys on their roster. Does that help at all when you get into this, that you have some familiarity with a couple guys that are playing key roles for them?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe when you start the scouting report, it's a little different than when you play a game where you're learning those players for the first time. Maybe the learning curve for the coaching staff's a little quicker. I don't know. I've never thought deeply about it, but yeah, we're aware of a lot of these guys. We tried to recruit a lot of their guys. I have a lot of respect for a lot of their players, and some of the ones that I got to know in the recruiting process, they're great kids. So yeah, there's a familiarity that is probably different when you play other high major schools, because there's only so many high level players in recruiting. You know that. So generally, when you're playing other high major schools, you're familiar with the players because you cross paths in recruiting. That's not unique to the Xavier game. That would be probably almost any high major game you play.
Is there any change in Simas Lukosius' status heading into practice today?
I don't know. You know, well, we were on the court yesterday, but it was more of like an active recovery day, and because of what he's dealing with, we didn't even try to get him going. We gave him the day off. With a couple other guys, we got a lot of work done in film, and they got to lift with Coach Rayfelt, and then some of the guys got out and got some work done, and some of the guys we gave the day off to. So we didn't get to test him yesterday. So I imagine we got the best trainer I've ever been around. I mean, he's incredible, Bob Mangine. And generally with this kind of stuff, guys, I'm pretty spoiled as a coach because I don't have to worry a lot about it. Bob will tell me what the deal is when we start practice today. He'll give me another report at the end of practice, and we'll kind of take it from there.
Scott, then Joe.
Football tends to, for big games, they'll pipe in noise, they'll do a bunch of stuff, they'll play theme songs. Is that anything that ever happens in basketball to try to recreate Cintas Center? You bring in a section of kids to cuss at you, anything like that?
I don't know what happens in college basketball at other places. I can only speak to what we do, but no, we don't. There's no tricks. There's no tricks. We know it'll be a loud environment. I've experienced it once before. For this game, it's as loud of environment as I've played in, and I felt the same way here at Fifth Third last year. I mean, when this game, you got two arenas that have great support night in, night out, and then this game it gets heightened. So I've only been to a game there when we played there. It's the only time I've been in there for a Xavier game, and it was as loud as any environment I've played in. There's no tricks to prepare for that, but the stuff you do every day, you're trying to prepare for, being in hostile environments. And by the way, this won't be the only hostile environment we're in this year. I mean, look ahead at our schedule and look at the league we're playing in. So that's been something we've emphasized from the summer, is just preparing for being in environments on the road. But this will just be the first time we've actually experienced it.
To follow up on that, Wes, how difficult is it just fundamentally to win a road rivalry game?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question, to be completely honest. I think, anytime you play against great teams, anywhere. You can play them in the playground. You know, you play against great teams that are well coached. You got to rely on the things that you do every day. You got to rely on the habits that you build every day. You don't win or lose games the day the game's played. You know, you win or lose games by the work you do day in and day out. So, I love the energy behind this game. I've told y'all I'm never going to shy away from that. But it's not like this week determines who wins the game, right? Like, and sometimes things happen in games that you can't control. But it's the stuff you do every single day to prepare to be in big games. And this will be one of a ton of big games that we're in this year at Cincinnati.
You've had Aziz in the rotation now for a couple games. How have you seen him working with, Vic and Odie, especially in the front court together? And are you seeing other teams adjust to having a player like him added to your team?
Yeah, I think I said this after our last game, Justin. These are the great problems, right? And I mean, this is a champagne problem. This is the kind of problem you want as a coach. But you add a guy like Aziz, who's a major impact player, into a team after 4 games have already been played, and 2 games that didn't count in the preseason. So 6 competitions against different opponents. And when you're going through the preseason, those competitions, you're going through the first couple games of the year, especially with all the new faces we have, you're trying to figure things out, right? You're trying to figure out your rotations. You're trying to figure out your best lineups. You're trying to figure out the things to do or adjust offensively and defensively with those rotations and those best. We're trying to find our rhythm as a team. I think everybody can understand that, especially with all these new faces. You throw Aziz into the mix, who's a major impact player, who's extremely different than our other players, right? It's almost like you're starting that process over again in certain ways. And I like that problem. This is not a coach complaining, but what I'm trying to say is it's going to take us a little bit of time, because it's going to take us a time to figure out how he best fits into all this, how we best utilize his strengths, and then that has a collective effect on everybody else too. How does that impact the other guys on the floor? How does it impact their strengths? And again, when you do that with a player at his stature, after you've already played 6 competitions, it does take a little time. We'll know a lot more about the best ways for this team to play and interact in January. Doesn't mean we can't have success between now and then, but it is going to take a little bit of a time, and I think we all have to have a little patience, coaches, players, everybody in between.
2 more, Keegan and Chuck.
You've had 7 games with Coach Loeffler on your bench now. What's it kind of been like seeing how he manages the games and that addition with the head coaching background?
How Coach Loeffler manages the game?
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't. I'll manage the game.
Just
I'm just kidding. No, it's our staff has been it's worked really well together so far. This staff has functioned at a much higher level, and that has nothing to do with pieces in the past. It's like any team that's functioning at a high level. The continuity from years past has helped that more than anything. So is Coach Loeffler seem to fit in well and find a good role? Yes. But I think the reason the staff is functioning so well has a lot more to do with Coach Dollar and Coach Morgan and Coach Thielen, and Matt Miller, and I could go down the line here, and our 2 of our 3 graduate assistants returning. So there's continuity on our staff, so it's easier to plug in a new face. And then Josh has done a really nice job of kind of finding his role within the staff at the same time.
The big story of these games recently has been Xavier getting up big early and then kind of being able to hold off. Is there anything you do to kind of get your team ready for that initial surge, that first 4 to 6 minutes where, especially in their gym, it's going to be?
Yeah, again, I love all the interest in trying to break down every aspect of it. Again,
It's
I'm
my
not.
job.
I know I love it. I mean, keep doing it, but I don't have any great answers here. No, I haven't gone back and looked at recent trends in the game. I'm not going to. We're gonna prepare for this game the way we prepare for all of them, and we always try to win the first 4 minutes. We're gonna sit in every timeout this year and talk about a 4-minute game, and I believe there's 10 of them over the course of the game. Is my math pretty good there? And I'm no math guy. Okay,
That's correct.
There's 10 of them, so we're gonna talk about all 10 of those 4-minute games. it won't be any different for this one than it was for Florida Gulf Coast on Sunday.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thanks.